Triston Casas wasn't in the lineup for the Boston Red Sox on Monday night against the Orioles. Is this cause for concern?
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part is it is all completely free. So you might as well check it out because Locked On is your team every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to today's show. Here at Locked On Red Sox, I like to tell people that this is the show that maybe sometimes is a little too positive, maybe other times is a little too negative, depending on how you take it. Either way, I'm going to keep it the real deal. What's going on with the Red Sox is what I talk about, whether that's good, whether that's bad. It is what it is. And if you are about that and you connect on a personal level to this Red Sox team and they control your emotions on a daily basis if they win or lose, then this is the perfect show for you. As this Red Sox team has certainly had a frustrating season and not much time left to go in the regular season here, as the Red Sox are trying to figure out a good balance of what players are going to be part of the future of the franchise. We saw over the weekend that they DFA'd Rich Hill and called up a pitcher from AAA, and we've seen guys go back and forth this year between AAA and the majors, guys who the Red Sox have been experimenting with just to see if there's potential there for them long-term with the organization, and they really are trying to formulate the best team possible to sustain success long term. And one of those players who certainly is going to be a key part of that future for the Boston Red Sox is Triston Casas, the team's first baseman. And it's pretty apparent that he's the first baseman of the future, who the Red Sox will continue to build around. But he was not in the Red Sox lineup on Monday night against the Orioles. Connor Wong was actually in the game at first base. I mean, that guy has been all over the place this season in terms of primarily playing catcher, obviously, but he's also played at second base, first base, and even played in the outfield in one game. So, I mean, talk about a catcher being used as a utility player. You don't see that very often. But this is the third time in 6 games that Casas wasn't in the lineup against a left-handed starter. And the Red Sox were facing Orioles lefty Cade Povich, who's 2-7 with a 5.76 ERA. And he also didn't start against Mets lefty David Peterson on Tuesday and White Sox lefty Garrett Crochet on Friday. Prior to this stretch, he had started 17 straight games after being activated from the IL on August 16th, but he has been in a scuffle as of late. Over his last 11 games, he's gone just 3 for 31, which is an .097 batting average with 3 singles. He's also generally less productive against lefties than righties. That's just always kind of been a thing with him. And this season, that disparity has been greater than usual. Entering Monday's game, he was batting .248 with a .795 OPS and 127 plate appearances against righties, and .227 with a .715 OPS against lefties. So take that into comparison. In 2023, those numbers were .274 with an .865 against righties and .215 with an .817 OPS against lefties. So in comparison, his numbers against righties were higher last year, and his numbers against lefties were even lower than they are now. And the Red Sox clearly wanted to pile up their righties in the lineup on Monday night because lefties Jarren Duran and Rafael Devers were in the lineup, but then it went to their righties. Rob Refsnyder, Tyler O'Neill, Romy Gonzalez, and Trevor Story also in the lineup, and also Danny Jansen, who was catching in the game. But what Alex Cora basically explained was that it's like in between right now with Casas. There's some swing and miss. He got a few hits early on versus lefties, but we're trying to maximize the lineup. Connor Wong is swinging the bat well. We've got Danny Jansen as a right-handed hitter here at Fenway, and Romy Gonzalez is swinging the bat well. So it's that more than anything else. So basically, Cora was trying to justify the decision by saying they wanted to fill the lineup with the players who would give them their best shot against lefties. So I truly don't feel like this is something against Casas that they feel he's not going to be a reliable player moving forward for the Red Sox. I just think because he's struggled in general lately, and also because he has struggled a lot against lefties in his career, the Red Sox would rather put in the lineup the guys who have been hitting better to give them a better chance to be able to win games. And I don't think this is necessarily something that's going to happen with Casas only. I mean, we've seen Cedar Rafaela miss games because of the fact that he was starting to struggle recently. So they've had him out of the lineup in more games than people expected to, with how many games he's played in this year. So I feel like it comes down to more of the fact that Casas's numbers lately haven't been up to par with what the Red Sox are looking for and need from him. So they're naturally going to be putting in players that have those types of numbers that are coming through and delivering when they need somebody to. So that's what I feel like this all comes down to here with Triston Casas. I mean, he's 10 for 44, which is a 227 average with a 306 on base percentage, 409 slugging percentage, 715 OPS, 2 homers and 2 doubles against lefties this season. Also, to go along with that 3 for 31 dating back to August 28th, he has no extra base hits, 4 walks, and 12 strikeouts. He did say, I feel like my swing is feeling good. I feel like I'm balanced. These last couple of games, I've been trying to be more aggressive in the zone, even if it's out of the zone. I felt like after the Diamondbacks series through the Blue Jays one, I was trying to ensure that I was swinging more at strikes. I'm on to a new phase where I'm trying to be more aggressive at balls into the zone. I'm okay with swinging at balls out of the zone. He pointed to his 8th inning at bat against White Sox righty Prelander Berroa on Sunday. He ended up striking out swinging on an 88-mile-per-hour slider that was below the strike zone, but he said that's an example of when he's okay with swinging at balls out of the zone. He said he's throwing 99 and he's got the 89 under the zone, but you've got to pick one, and I was picking the fastball in that certain situation. I just chose wrong today, and that's okay. In the last couple of games as well. But when I get into my stance, I'm feeling good. All the third base angles and stuff look right from the side. So yeah, we just keep moving. Just one of those lulls. I don't want to call it a sophomore slump, but yeah, it's getting to that point now where things aren't falling my way, and that's okay, but better days ahead. So he doesn't seem to be too concerned about it. He has been changing his approach in terms of the way that he's attacking that strike zone and what he's swinging at. And he basically, in so many words, was saying he's going to be more aggressive at the plate, and he's okay with swinging at a ball that's a little out of the strike zone, just to show that he's willing to swing at those pitches, because if it's a borderline pitch that could arguably be a strike, he wants to be able to try to make contact with some of those pitches. So he doesn't seem too concerned about it. I feel like it's him coming back slowly out of the gates to come back from his injury. I don't picture a world in which this version of Triston Casas is what we see on a more permanent basis. I think this is just him trying to get back to where he should and wants to be at, leading back into things and getting his numbers back to where he wants them and where the Red Sox want them. He was out for a while. He missed so much of the season that it's natural for him to be in a slump and take a little bit of time to ease back into things. So I think that's what it is for him. I am not concerned about him, nor am I freaking out about it. And I also don't hate Alex Cora's decision to be sitting him on days that he has been sitting him because of his struggles against left-handed pitchers. And I think it's only right that Alex Cora maximizes his lineup to be able to give this team a better chance to succeed. And they're clearly looking for ways to keep Connor Wong out there, because he's been hitting well generally this year. Yes, he hasn't been hitting as well in the second half as he did in the first half, but generally he's the type of player that the Red Sox want out there. So they're doing what they can to have him out on the field, even if he's not catching. So that's why they've been putting him into the infield and having him play in those positions when he's not catching that day. So clearly they want to put the guys out there who have been hitting well to try to conquer some of these pitchers that they're going up against. And I don't think this is the last time we're going to see Casas not be in the lineup against a left-handed starter. I think it's something that they're going to continue to do unless he starts to drastically turn things around and starts to hit a lot better against lefties. So I think it comes down to the fact that they just have people who have been hitting better against lefties than he has. And we'll see what happens. And hopefully the rest of this year and going into the off season, he can improve his technique a little bit when it comes to facing lefties so that he can be a more balanced hitter and be able to be in the lineup against both righties and lefties. And we can feel like we're getting production from him either way. So that's why I feel like Cora made the decision he did, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully he's able to develop a little bit more when he's going up against a lefty so he can be a more regular player that's in the lineup when the Red Sox have a lefty opponent on the mound. But coming up, though, I'm going to be talking about a pitcher for the Red Sox who unfortunately hasn't been able to make his debut for this Red Sox team yet for this season, but hopefully it will be soon. If you're looking for a great deal on tickets for things like sporting events, music shows or concerts, theater performances, comedy, you name it, anything like that, you can get cheaper tickets on Game Time than you can on other ticketing vendors. Game Time offers the best prices and really good seats. Like, for example, I went to Citi Field for Red Sox Mets recently, and I got tickets on Game Time for a lot cheaper than I would have gotten those same tickets on another ticketing vendor. And they were really good seats right behind the Red Sox dugout. So it was a great way to feel like I got the full experience and also spend just a reasonable amount of money instead of a crazy amount of money. So Game Time, every time, I've literally looked every time to compare it to other vendors, and it always has the lowest prices. So make sure that you're taking advantage of Game Time for any event you want to go to. Game Time launched a new feature called Game Time Picks. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, and the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. I promise you this will be an absolute game changer for you. So make sure that Game Time is your spot for all of your ticketing needs. After you check out this show, you should check out Locked On MLB with host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully. He is super knowledgeable about all things going on in the baseball world. So if you're looking to stay in the loop on what's going on with other teams, check out his show right after this. The Boston Red Sox are in a tough spot of feeling like they had the potential this year of making the playoffs and then slipping further and further out of it when they weren't playing well after the All-Star break. And it's just been an overall frustrating second half for this team. But at the same time, we see a future that's really bright for this team. And we can look back on some of the good old days of the Boston Red Sox, like 2004, which, speaking of the 2004 season, Netflix did announce that the comeback 2004 Boston Red Sox premieres on October 23rd, which is a documentary series that looks back at one of the greatest comebacks in sports history when our beloved Red Sox broke the curse of the Bambino and defeated their arch rivals, the Yankees, going on to win their first World Series title in 86 years. So I have October 23rd marked on my calendar, and I cannot wait to watch that premiere. That'll be so good to relive that experience, and especially during tough times like this that we're seeing of Red Sox baseball. So that'll be enjoyable to watch. And another thing that we can at least look forward to is the potential return of Liam Hendriks. His plan originally was to return this past weekend during the series against the White Sox, but then he did have a minor setback in his rehab last week. So that prevented him from making back-to-back rehab appearances on back-to-back days that week as he had previously planned to do. He did say that he remains convinced he will return this season, and while he expects to be effective upon his return, he thinks his stuff will fully bounce back to pre-surgery levels in 2025, and he will be under contract with the Red Sox for one more season then. So the Liam Hendriks that we get when he does come back, if he comes back in these next few weeks of the season, probably won't be the dominant Liam Hendriks that we're hoping for, but he does feel pretty confident that that can return next year, and that right now, when he does come back, it'll be a little bit of a worse version of the pitcher that he was, but him coming back would be, for one, an extra arm for the Red Sox to be able to utilize, so more rest for other relievers that have been pitching a lot this year. For two, could just be a change. Sometimes a change of scenery is good, like the Red Sox with all the roster reshuffling they did over the weekend and trying to get new faces in there just to see if they could change up the vibes a little bit with this team. So having Liam Hendriks in there, somebody who the Red Sox have been really excited to get involved in the action here, bringing him back could be very crucial for changing of the guard in terms of this clubhouse vibe and just everything that he has been through and understanding what it's like to go through hardships and how to overcome them. That's something that could really help and benefit this Red Sox team. And with how much Liam Hendriks has been through, he, who is so deserving of it, was the Red Sox player nominated for the prestigious Roberto Clemente Award given by MLB. This is the 6th time he's been nominated for the award, so he knows the significance of it. Basically, the Roberto Clemente Award is presented annually to the player who best represents the game of baseball through extraordinary character, community involvement, philanthropy, and positive contributions both on and off the field. And the award is very cherished by players because they know how special it is to win it. So Liam Hendriks is somebody who truly does represent the game through his character, his perseverance, being able to bounce back after facing so many hardships between his cancer and then going through Tommy John surgery, and just really feeling like he's dedicating so much time to the sport that he loves. He's so deserving of it, and he's been working his way back and wants to come back and pitch this season. And even when things got tough, he didn't give up on coming back to pitch for a Red Sox team that really has been coveting him being out there and watching him pitch. So he was the Red Sox nominee, and it's really special for him, and he knows how special it is. Tim Wakefield was the last Red Sox pitcher to win the award, and he won 2 World Series and almost 200 games in his big league career, but called the Clemente Award the highlight of his career. So despite all the other accolades he had, that was the highlight for him. So Hendriks agreed. He said, "It's such an honor. Obviously, you don't do off the field work because of awards or anything like that. But it's always nice to be recognized, especially with the groups we work with being promoted alongside. As far as the awards go, for me, this is the top one. This is above anything else. It doesn't require talent. It doesn't require too much. It just requires effort. And that's something everyone can do and everyone has the opportunity to do. A native of Australia, Hendriks did his homework on the late Roberto Clemente and found out more about his career and life. He said, "You dive into it a little more. You know him as a player and what he was able to accomplish. But seeing what he did and even the unfortunate circumstance of his passing, he was on a plane to give people food and water and help people in need following a devastating earthquake in Nicaragua. It's such an honor to be even recognized with what he was able to do. It's a tribute to what he was doing that he now has an entire day and an entire award dedicated in his name for everything he did." So Hendriks knows how much of an honor it is for him to even be in the same conversation as somebody like that. And he's just done so much for other cancer survivors in the community. He's arranged to meet with fellow survivors in every road city he's visited this year, along with events at Fenway. He said, "It's purely selfish from my point of view because I get a lot out of it as well. It's nice being able to talk about what I went through as far as a cancer diagnosis and treatment and now survivorship, which has been a lot harder than I think anybody expects it to be. So being able to talk to people who are going through it or gone through it or are about to go through it. But I also know that the more you talk about it, the better it is. Hopefully I can change a couple of people's perspective on what they're going through." Hendriks said it's always been in his nature to help people. And in that sense, he felt like that was a natural extension of that. There's always someone out there you can help, he said. It's just going out there and being nice to people. It's not that hard. Just don't be a jerk. So the winner of the award is presented annually at the World Series. So we won't know until then if he does win it. But he has given back so much to people who are in a similar situation that he was in. And it's really admirable. And on top of that, just the hard work that he has displayed to get back onto the field and just the genuine love for baseball that he has is truly admirable. And I can't think of somebody more deserving of it than him. Having him around is great for this Red Sox team. And he's hopeful that he'll return this season. He's obviously bummed that he wasn't able to make his return in that White Sox series because that was his plan originally. It was his former team, and he just thought it would be cool to make a comeback against them. But because of the setback, that wasn't able to happen. But he's still hopeful that he can pitch this year for a Red Sox team that really could use his veteran guidance among that pitching staff. So hopefully he wins it. We won't know who wins it again for another month and a half or so here, but he's super deserving of it, constantly thinking about others before himself and trying to just project positivity onto others. So I'm a huge Liam Hendriks fan, really hoping he comes back soon. And I can't wait for him to hopefully pitch in a Red Sox uniform this season. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about a trade that the Red Sox made with the Mets. Nothing too crazy, but something that made sense for the Red Sox to do. My fiance has gotten absolutely hooked on FanDuel. It's something that he does all the time now. He goes on every morning as part of his routine and makes his daily bets for the day on a variety of different sports. And he's won a lot of money doing it too. So it's really proved to be effective for him. And you've heard me talk a lot about FanDuel on this show, which is America's #1 sports book. Well, I do have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com to download America's #1 sportsbook. It's great for people who love watching NFL Sundays and are tired of just only being able to see Red Zone to get updates on other games that they aren't watching. So this is a great way to take advantage of a great deal and be able to see more games. So take advantage of that today and check out FanDuel simply for the fact of just being able to win a lot of money. The Boston Red Sox, as they look to hopefully end the rest of this season on a high note and look to the offseason and what they can do to improve this team, they did make a minor trade on Monday. They traded infielder, outfielder Eddy Alvarez to the Mets for cash considerations. He's somebody who can provide versatility for this Mets team and was immediately added to their active roster before their Monday game against the Blue Jays in Toronto. And infielder Pablo Reyes was designated for assignment, a familiar face among Red Sox Nation. Alvarez had been playing in Worcester with the Woo Sox, where he posted a 247 average, 348 on base percentage, and 463 slugging with 18 home runs and 452 plate appearances over 114 games. He's 34 years old and has played parts of 3 seasons in the majors with the Marlins in 2020 and 2021 and the Dodgers in 2022. In 134 plate appearances over 50 big league games, he has hit 183 with a 262 on base percentage and 262 slugging with 1 home run. Defensively in the majors, he's gotten time at shortstop, third base, second base, and both corner outfield positions. So he has played quite a bit of positions. His offense really is not there, especially at the major league level. So I doubt the Mets wanted to pick him up because of his offense. They definitely like the defensive versatility that he provides and being able to place him into a variety of different positions as the Mets are trying to fight for a playoff spot right now. So as they move closer to trying to lock in a playoff spot in the National League, they are bringing in somebody who they feel has a variety of different positions up his sleeve that he can play. And for the Mets, that makes a lot of sense because it's always helpful when you have a guy that you can throw in there and say, hey, okay, look, this guy's injured. We need you to step in here. And the fact that he's capable of doing that is really helpful. Why did the Red Sox trade him? Ultimately, he is getting up there in age. He's somebody who hasn't really been able to stay consistently in the majors. And when he has been in the majors, he hasn't really been able to perform. So that alone is something that makes sense for the Red Sox to not really feel like they need him anymore, because if he hasn't been able to provide a lot of value at the major league level in the past, why would he be able to provide value now? And that's the whole thing with this is, do the Red Sox really need to have him here when they have lots of other infielders and outfielders in their system? I mean, the outfield depth right now is crazy between Jarren Duran, Cedar Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu, Roman Anthony when he eventually comes up, Tyler O'Neill, who likely won't be here after this season anyway, Rob Repsteiner. I mean, you name it. The Red Sox have lots of options right now in the outfield. And in the infield, I mean, Trevor Story is back to play shortstop. They have Cedar Rafaela, who can play also in the infield. They have Romy Gonzalez. I mean, Connor Wong to an extent, who's been playing in the infield, and Manuel Valdez. And then even looking in AAA with Vaughn Grisham. And eventually, guys like Christian Campbell and Marcelo Meyer are going to be called up to the majors. So with the variety of talented players that this Red Sox team has at the major league level and in the minors right now, there wasn't necessarily really a spot for him. The only thing that they're losing is his versatility and his ability to play a variety of positions defensively. So that's something that the Red Sox are going to have to be okay with, and I'm sure they accepted at the time when they did move on from him. But in terms of everything that the Red Sox are trying to accomplish, I mean, they knew they weren't going to get a big return for him. Cash considerations makes a lot of sense. He's somebody who can help the Mets down the stretch, and he's somebody who wasn't really going to see playing time in a Red Sox uniform because of how they are constructed right now and the roster that they do have. So it's a minor trade that the Red Sox made. You don't really see many trades this late in the season that do happen. But the Mets were like, oh, this guy is somebody who could help us down the stretch and provide some versatility defensively. Why not call the Red Sox and see what's up with him? And the Red Sox are at the point now where they're really locked in on that future and what players are going to contribute to that down the road. And clearly Alvarez was not somebody who could do that. I mean, unfortunately, as you get older, you start to deteriorate talent-wise. So that's another factor in this too, is that they have a lot of young talent in their system and guys who are still blossoming into the player they're going to be. So they haven't hit their peak yet, whereas Alvarez probably at this point in his career has kind of run out of a lot of significant value that he could have provided earlier on in his career. So that is why the Red Sox did this. And from the Mets perspective, definitely another depth guy for them to have down the stretch, as they clearly needed him since they immediately placed him on their active roster. So we'll see how he pans out there. But the Red Sox being able to make these kinds of trades just shows that they have more depth in their farm system now than they had in the past. And it really says a lot about the way that they've been emphasizing the farm system and focusing a lot on that over the last few seasons. And it's starting to pay off in terms of them being able to just trade away players and not really lose much depth in the process. So I'm definitely looking forward to the future of this Boston Red Sox team. I feel like there is so much that they can accomplish. And I hope that in 2025 and 2026, they are winning lots of baseball games, because I know there are so many of us fans here who are on edge and just want to see the Red Sox succeed and play well and be in the playoff conversation year after year, because those were the expectations that were set by John Henry and the Red Sox ownership group years ago when they started winning championships in the 2000s. So we'll see what happens with the future, but the Red Sox definitely protecting their future guys and moving on from players who maybe are aging and are a little bit older that the Red Sox don't really have a use for anymore in this organization. But we'll see what happens here. Hopefully the Red Sox can finish the season off strong. Make sure you check out Locked On MLB wherever you get your podcasts after this. Go Red Sox, keep the faith, and I will catch you on the flip side.